through, thanks, Patrick, walk through, what we're doing with the pilot implementation study here. And really, we're just going to have a lot of time for questions to see what you're thinking about, what you're worrying about, and see how we can help get you all squared away. So, oops. Share my screen here. And please do feel free to just jump in if you have questions, or you can put questions in the chat and Patrick will keep an eye on that and can interrupt me. Super informal here today, as usual. All right, so we're here today to talk about the TSAG pilot implementation study. And thank you all so much for applying to be part of this, for your excitement and that you're bringing to this project. We're really excited to work with all of you. So just a quick reminder, I'm Betsy Rolland. I'm the Director of Team Science and Research Development here at the University of Wisconsin CTSA, the Institute for Clinical and Translational Research. And I am joined by my fellow module leaders, Dr. Wayne McCormick from the University of Florida, Dr. Beth LaPense from the University of Michigan, Dr. Kevin Wooten from UTMB, and Dr. Marisa Rinkus from Michigan State. And as well as Patrick Kelly, who is our program manager here at ICTR, who is helping us keep all the trains running. So just a quick reminder that how we got here, which is that the TSAG group, which is the Team Science Affinity Group, which is CTSA Team Science Core Leaders, we had a long, several months worth of discussion about, sorry, that came out wrong. It was several months of lovely discussion that resulted in this research agenda, which is really that we need to think about more rigorous methods for conducting research and translating that research, the science and team science research into practice, that there's a need for evidence-based trainings for both the researchers doing science and team science research and for translational team members, and some funding to develop those. Need for approaches to getting buy-in from our institutional leadership, the teams themselves, and the translational team members. Need for a better definition of what a translational team is, who's on it, etc. And then we really need some more funding for sites research and dedicated funding within the CTSA awards for team science activities and resources. And this project really emerged as a way to sort of just start to move towards some of these things by really, as a proof of concept, can we take some evidence-informed interventions, gather more data about how effective they are? Can we disseminate things across the CTSA hubs? So thank you all for being willing and able to participate in that exploration. Again, we have a wide variety of people working on this TSAG pilot committee, so thank you to all of them. This is our map of who is participating. You can see the filled in states with Michigan split. Are the module leaders, and then in red are the teams that are the modules that are the CTSA hubs that are participating in this project. So we've got 12 hubs and 5 modules, so we're really excited about that. It's just one of those things where we weren't sure if we build it, they will come. So we're just delighted. A quick reminder of the project overview. This is open to all the CTSA hubs. Implementation really is all about you as the implementers at your CTSA hub coming to a training. For example, ours will be collaboration planning on April 28th. After that, it'll be your responsibility to set up your local systems for recruitment, implementation, and data collection. And we will give you as much support with that as we can. And then we will be collecting data along the way, and I'll talk about that in a minute. In terms of support for implementers, the module leaders will be available to provide you with some modest technical support, and technical support meaning how to implement, not like how to use Zoom. And then some modules like the collaboration planning, we will also be developing a community of practice where you can come together once a month and learn from other implementers. Thinking about the project timeline, here we are with our project start. We're kicking this off. And we're going to talk in just a minute about a pre-implementation survey that we are going to ask you to complete. Along the way, each of the modules will be collecting data on your implementation and on some of the short-term outcomes from this project. We anticipate collecting data for approximately a year. So after, and Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, but soon after this meeting, this pre-implementation survey will be going out to all implementers. We really wanted to understand, before you get started, what are the things that you're worried about before you start doing this implementation. And the survey itself has two parts. The first is hub characteristics. We just want to gather a little bit of data about your hub, the size, how long you've been in existence, what does your team science core look like, if anything, et cetera. And those questions we said is not required, because they might be challenging for you to fill out depending on where you sit in your CTSA. So we'll work with you on getting some of those data when we need them. Second, we're going to gather some data about feasibility and usability of these interventions. As probably most of you know, in the dissemination and implementation science world, feasibility and usability are just a couple core concepts with this idea of disseminating interventions. And one of the things we've really focused on with this project is starting really small. Just again, we're doing this proof of concept. So we want to figure out how feasible these interventions are, and then how useful. So feasibility is really about whether you think that it can be performed relatively easily or conveniently with your existing resources, effort, time, money, and your circumstances, like the timing or the interest from your larger hub. Usability is really about, if it helps your users achieve their specified goals with effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction. So when we send you this survey, the wording is things like, I anticipate I would like to use collaboration planning frequently. And we just wanted to kind of give you a heads up, because the wording might be a little bit awkward, because we're going to be doing this pre-implementation. We're going to ask you again during the implementation to assess how it's going. And then we're going to ask you again at the end and compare sort of how that longitudinal data comes out. And as we have here, there are no right or wrong answers. We really are just looking for your thoughts and your opinions on this. In terms of the data collection approach, each individual module facilitator training will cover its approach to data collection. So when you go to that facilitator training, they'll talk a little bit about what they expect of you in terms of data collection. And we anticipate that each of the modules will host their own data evaluation collection instruments for you. Okay, so there are going to be central data evaluation data that we are collecting, like the feasibility and usability. And then there are module specific data that will be collected. And so I just want to make sure that it's really clear that those are two different things. So for the example of collaboration planning, we anticipate that we will be administering a survey of your teams. We do this now here at Wisconsin, a pre and a post session evaluation. They're very short, minimal burden for the teams. We also will be surveying and asking the implementers, the people who are actually facilitating the collaboration planning sessions, to let us know how that's going. Especially we want to capture any modifications or adaptations that you're making, so that we can continuously continue to improve the intervention itself. So again, these implementing hubs we envision will collect those data and then submit them to UW ICTR. The module leaders, besides collaboration planning, will submit the common data to UW. We've also asked them to collect some data like satisfaction and who's on the team that's participating, that sort of thing. And we anticipate that UW will then return de-identified evaluation data to the CTSA hub. So if you are the team science core, or you are the person who has signed up to be part of this project, and you want to see those evaluation data at the end of the project, we will work out a way to do that. We are still working on that. We have been, our UW's IRB has deemed this exempt, not research, so exempt from IRB review. And so we're happy to share that with anyone. And again, we're still working all of that out, but we might need to do data use agreements or something like that. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. So with that, I'm happy to take questions. And if you have any questions for us at UW with our central data collection, or for any of the module leaders. Stop sharing. Thoughts or questions?
Betsy, I just, oh, sorry, Rebecca, okay, I'm just gonna quickly go. We had talked or been conversing via email about IRB related stuff. Can we go ahead and submit with our own IRB then, for an exempt application? Or do you want us to still wait and sort of see if we are gonna go through, we're gonna seed, the IRB to you guys?
I think it's gonna be sort of maybe a one by one discussion,
Okay,
right? Because every institution is so different in how they handle their IRBs. And I think each module might be different in how they want to handle it. So if you are a site that wants to have access to the evaluation data, and I'm not, and maybe everybody does, and maybe only a couple do. I don't really have a sense for that. So why don't you, I know that you and Patrick and I have been emailing. So why don't we set up a time to chat sometime in the next few weeks?
sounds great.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Yep. All right, Rebecca.
I have a quick question about the evaluation, the pre-implementation evaluation survey.
Yes.
Is that one per hub or every person that is participating to learn how to be an implementer? What's the kind of end there?
That's a great question. I think we had settled on each of the implementers. So everybody who is on your list of implementers, because you might have very different opinions, right?
Right. Yes. Okay.
And with, I'm sorry to interrupt, within that survey too, you will click which of the things you're implementing. So you'll answer the questions for, say, collaboration planning and for team maps and for however many modules that you are implementing.
Okay. And so if some members of our team, just trying to theoretically, I'm going to be the coordinator of all this. If some members of our team are going to be involved with implementing one of them and some members, two of the ones that we checked, they would just fill it out for whatever, they'll be involved with.
Correct.
Great.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you.
All right, Kath. Oh,
there we go. Unmuted. So I have a couple practical questions about the collaboration planning, unless you think that's too specific for this roundup.
I think it's okay. Once you.
Sure. So I'm wondering whether, I guess on some level it's a question about the kind of end you want, but we had thought that we would discuss internally whether to make it mandatory that everyone who gets a pilot award goes through the collaboration planning, or whether we make it optional, or I'm actually, in listening to you, I'm realizing there's a third way, which is, and I've yet to see what your pre and post tests look like, but we actually have a team science kind of prenup based on the National Cancers kind of team science readiness list. And so I guess the third way, if you're like by choice, mandatory, a third way is if when they take their pretest, there's sufficient confusion about what's normative for their team, then we would then assign them the collaborative planning. So kind of a limited mandatory, not across the board mandatory, that would be data-based. So do you have experience with that? And it is related to kind of, the question of how much data you'll get back. If we make it mandatory, you're going to get more data back, but you've done this before. So you have practical advice about how well received that might be.
Yeah, so just quickly, the first round that we did was optional, and we got about half of the teams that signed up. The second round, we have a lot of pilot mechanisms here at Wisconsin. About half of our mechanisms made it mandatory and half made it optional. Mm-hmm. And we still got about half of the optional ones to sign up. And now it's mandatory for everybody. Mm-hmm. And we get about 80% then because there's no actual teeth in the mandatory at this moment. Mm-hmm. But then once they go through it, everybody is happy that they did. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of selling, and we'll go through that. We have our recruitment emails that we will make available to you to help you with that selling.
Mm-hmm. And I have a second practical question. So the timing, I assume, of everybody's pilot programs, if that's the target audience for lots of folks, is going to be different between hubs, and ours probably, and Keith is on the call, he's my co-collaborator on this. we probably won't have a new cohort until January. So that gives you January, February, March. That gives us a fairly short runway for this for you guys.
Yeah, the April stop is not a hard stop.
Mhm.
So I think we'll take, whatever, we'll probably keep accepting data. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. But you
Okay,
also might want to sort of identify a few teams that would be open and kind of maybe do a few in the meantime.
well, that's a related question. I don't want to hog the mic, but I was assuming this is for teams that are kind of getting started and kind of setting themselves up. I guess I've just been assuming, having not been through the training yet, that this isn't something where you're gonna be like, oh, you're halfway through, why don't you have this collaborative planning module?
Yeah,
Correct?
so we have done primarily our pilot teams, but we have done a few other teams that have gotten started and maybe not gotten started in the best way.
Mhm.
And so they still benefit from it. Also, a lot of pilot teams are teams that have been working together for a little while and then are now on a new direction or starting a new project, and they still benefit.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
Yep. We'll get more into it when at the training. Thanks, Kath. Susan.
So I just wanted to clarify because I don't have a lot of the details, but based on some comments so far in this session, for the teams that we're going to be recruiting, I was under the impression, I haven't recruited anybody yet. I thought we did that after we were trained. Is that correct? Or
Yes.
should I be working on this now?
I mean, I think either way is fine. You might want to be thinking about, people that you think might benefit from the
Right.
different trainings.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Which is everybody, by the way.
Yeah, I'll get started on that. Thank you.
Other questions? Anything else from the other module leaders too? Karen.
Hi, I'm from OHSU and I'm kind of jumping into this. Somebody else, two other people are involved. And when I was forwarded the confirmation email, it looks like we were confirmed for something we didn't apply to do.
Okay.
Was there any kind of random assignment? Would that have happened or no? Okay.
No,
So
no.
maybe,
Patrick
maybe
can look into that and get back to you.
okay, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. All right, Laura.
Thanks. We usually only work with teams in our team science core that come to us for help. I'm not used to recruiting
Sure.
teams, but I do know that our pilot core and our community engagement core, they give out money, so they're working with new teams. Is it okay to go to them and say, would you consider making this mandatory or encouraging your new teams to have this?
From my perspective, absolutely. I hopefully they would, see the value and be excited to partner with you.
Yeah, a lot of people from those cores are actually in our team science faculty, so I would hope,
Sure.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
But, okay, thank you.
Yeah, and if you're at an institution with a cancer center and the cancer center gives out pilots that are translational in nature, I think that's fair game. Previous years pilot awardees might be getting ready to put in a larger federal funding proposal. They might be excited to do something like this, that sort of thing. Yeah.
You said you'd help us sell. Do you have like a strategy in mind? Or?
Yeah, we do have an email that we send out. And basically, we focus on, this is great for a multi-PI plan. This is great training for your, early stage investigators. If you're writing an administrative core, those sorts of things. Yep. And I'm sure the other modules also have some sort of like marketing kinds of materials that you can repurpose.
And do you want us to keep this on the translational investigation side, or are we free to move around the university and look for teams in other fields?
So because these are the CTSAs, right, we're hoping that the teams, or we do want the teams to be translational in nature. I personally think of translation as pretty broad, right? There probably aren't that many people who are doing research that doesn't have some translational possibility at some point, in time.
Right.
So I think we have right, I hope.
I can work with that.
Right. So I think, that's kind of how we're framing it.
Okay, thank you.
Other thoughts or questions? Anything you're worried about? A lot of questions about recruitment. Recruitment's always like the first hard, hurdle to help people understand how this benefits them. Right? I think that can be challenging.
Betsy, will
Yeah.
we be getting any preliminary information before the 3-hour session, the end of this month? I'm
For
not,
collaboration planning.
yeah. Or slides sent out or any background. I'm a little, I'm a little vague on what
Yeah.
will fill these 3 hours and what the approach will be. Is there anything available that describes the program a little more than what certainly I have seen we could use as background?
Yeah. We'll think about that. Usually we've done this training twice before at the Science of Team Science Conference. So we've done over 100 people have gone through the training.
Okay.
And so you don't need to prepare anything in advance.
Okay.
We basically just walk through what it's like to conduct a session, to facilitate a session, as well as all the stuff that comes along with it, like the surveys and the evaluation and that sort of thing.
Okay. Then I shouldn't worry is what you're telling me.
No worries.
Okay.
Anyone else? Oh, the 90 minutes. So what was really, again, just speaking about collaboration planning, and sorry to keep it focused there. We did get some pushback about 90 minutes. So we tried 60 minutes and the evaluation surveys were all like, oh, I wish this were longer. So 90 minutes seems to be a sweet spot where we get deep enough into the worksheet that they can go off then and finish, because it's really like where we start the conversation, then they can go off and finish on their own. But if 60 minutes was just too short to get through all of the things, because once they hit something that's really interesting to them, they really want to dig into it. Risa, Beth, Kevin, Wayne, anything else?
So Beth from University of Michigan with Research Jams. I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that you will be hearing directly from us as we work to schedule a training. We're looking most likely in early to mid-June for that to occur. So you are on my radar if you are interested. I have not forgotten about you. So just wanted you to know we'll be reaching out really soon to coordinate.
Thanks, Beth. Kath notes, I'm concerned about replacing my existing team science interventions. Shouldn't double up. It is a leap of faith. Yep. And hopefully it pays off. If there's anything specifically that you're worried about, as especially with the maybe if your existing things are complementary to what you've signed up for, maybe we could talk about that. Happy to chat more if you would like.
Excuse me, I have kind of the opposite concern. So we don't have a team science core. And so what I did was kind of like recruit people from different parts of our CTSA. And I'm just wondering if you all have a vision for the different places this could live if you don't have a team science core, and how staffing it could potentially look in other places. Any thoughts on that?
I don't. Kevin, I saw you nodding your head, so I'm going to call on you.
Well, I would think that depending on the individual program, you may want to spend some time, as Beth was talking about up front, kind of talking about the different ways you can kind of leverage existing relationships and existing programs. moreover, existing needs, if you know of particular pilots that have recently been awarded, or teams that are in fact trying to assemble to get ready for a pilot, or maybe need to be renewed, and now there's a team science contingency for their continued reward, I would go after the need, because I think that you're just going to have a more ready audience for that. That would be my perspective. And so now, Beth, since you called on me, I feel it is incumbent upon me to call on my good friend and colleague, Wayne McCormick.
I don't have anything to add. I'm actually composing an email to Caitlin about our project, but I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, my sense is the programs are so different that the term marketing came up earlier, how you position it relative to being required versus need-based versus friends and family kind of approach is just really highly variable.
And our hope, Rebecca, is that the data that you gather from your teams is so compelling that your CTSA leader decides to just pour money into a team science core, and then you won't have to worry about it.
Got it. I like that. Yeah.
All right, Christine.
I just wanted to chime in here on this topic. I have heard that our research development office offers, I don't think they use a particular framework for collaboration planning, but I think that our research development office offers a form of collaboration planning as well as a form of kind of research jams. And so you could consider options of, like, if it goes well and you've got a lot of really good evaluation data from this, from whichever module you're implementing, Rebecca, and you can't get someone to fund a team science core, you may shop it over to like a research development office.
Great idea, Christine.
Yeah.
Kath mentions maybe a second wave. We're hoping for a second wave too. Just, we're going to get through the first and see what happens. All right, if there are no more questions, then we can go ahead and wrap up. We just wanted to give you an opportunity to sort of hear a little bit more about the evaluation that's coming. Just again, thank you for your engagement and your excitement. And do feel free to email Patrick directly for any sort of general questions, or the module leaders that you're participating with. You can email them directly. And we look forward to seeing what happens. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. We appreciate it, Betsy. Bye-bye.
Thanks.